Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Smallville Season 7, Episode 3, Fierce. I love Smallville. I love it so much. I think it's probably the best real true interpretation of like a live action Superman series that's like a TV series, I forgot all about like what is that Dean Clark show, Adventures of Superman, and no, I forgot the title of that name. It's like I don't even remember the name of that title, but I can't remember that show, so I can't put that. Superboy was pretty good for its time, being in the 80s, 90s, or whatever year it came out in. It was okay for its era, but it's very outdated with like the technology and CGI and costumes. But it was a faithful Superman type show, even though it was Superboy. But Smallville, in my opinion, was like where it was at in terms of drama, storytelling, just like all around like adventure, like thrills and stuff like that. But it's not perfect, you know what I'm saying? The cast is great. Gotta give it up to the cast and everything. Especially like how much Tom looks like an actual Superman, like from the comics and stuff, and how much he looks like Christopher Reeves and stuff. And and oh my god, like the reason why I'm even talking about this video is of course Laura Vandervoort playing Zor-El, Supergirl. Like she was just amazing. She is my favorite live action Supergirl. It's just sad she could never really truly wear the costume and everything. She had to wear like the makeshift Smallville version of it. But she reminds me so much of like what I've seen in like animation and stuff like that. She has that attitude, that bluntness, that like goes in like fist first without thinking of something, like that impulsiveness. That's how she's supposed to be. Melissa Benoist, I like her a lot. Like I like her a very lot, but she was just like it's weird. She was Supergirl pretending to be Superman, and it was so weird how they wrote her on the show because she's not Clark Kent and she's not Superman. Like there's a night and day version of like those characters. It's like they tried to make her the goody goody two shoes Clark Kent style, but that's not who she is and everything. And so that's why I always felt like the Smallville version was probably like a better adaptation of like that character and stuff. But like, Smallville it's not perfect. I wish they would have had fights. I wish they would have had him fly around. I wish they would have had suits. In my honest opinion, if they would have had that stuff, it would have been like perfect. But it was a different time era. The CGI was improving in the early 2000s and stuff, but it didn't improve to the way it is now. So I get why they had to make some accommodations. But they should have really put the suit on him much earlier than what they did in the freaking finale. And it's quite a shame because they could have at least made a Smallville version of the suit better than what they did. I do like the black trench coat and the all black suit. That was neat, but he doesn't wear all black. So when they finally gave him the red and the blue, I was disappointed because the pants was just boring. And he wore like this button up jacket that had the emblem on there, which was nice, but it just felt too bulky and small, and it was maroonish kind of color. And they should have gave him like something longer, like a trench coat or something. It's like they could have gave him a trench coat, like a red trench coat with the Superman symbol on there. And it would have been cool, like something like creative, because they were doing creative stuff. Green Arrow's costume was really great. What they did to Cyborg and the Flash was dumb. Like that whole hoodie thing just got on my nerves. But Aquaman's costume was pretty cool. But it's just like, and of course none of the villains had any costumes, but it is what it is. And it's funny rewatching this episode. Man, I forgot how TV was in the early 2000s. The music. There's like a song playing every couple of minutes, and it's like one of those copyrighted, like famous type songs, very, very, very mellow and kind of perky at the same time. That early 2000s. And it's just crazy. Like, I really wish they had the budget of, like, Superman and Lois. And it's crazy. I forgot how colorful this show is, man. This show is very bright and vibrant. And when you look at Superman and Lois, it's very muted and everything. It's like, it's a weird contrast when you look at both series back to back and everything. But, okay, let's get to the point of this video. Like I said before, it's Women's History Month, and I love Supergirl. I love Supergirl more than I love Superman. But boy, it all started with that 80s movie they came out with. Even though that movie wasn't like great, it's not that terrible. At least I don't remember it being that way. I need to rewatch it. But I don't remember it being that terrible like everybody keeps saying. But I understand why they was upset after seeing the Superman movie and then that, and it was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't that terrible. There's been worse Superman movies and there's been worse superhero movies than that movie. And then, of course, I loved her even more when she was in the Superman cartoon and they gave her that new outfit that was similar to like another comic book version. And the actress voicing her was like amazing. And, and so when she finally showed up in Smallville, I was ecstatic. I was thrilled. I was beyond happy because I got into Smallville very late. I got in around, it feels like, I think maybe season 4, season 5 or something like that. And that's when I actually started paying attention because I was kind of boycotting it because it was, well, not so much boycotting. It was just kind of like, I didn't want to watch any new type shows and get hooked. And then once I watched one episode, I got hooked. I'm like, crap. So I went beyond the limit. I did some soul searching to find every episode I could find on the internet just to like get caught up. And the WB used to have their own website with like episodes on there. I was looking on YouTube any way I could. There are some episodes I think I have missed. I think there's a few in season 2 I haven't seen, but I've seen pretty much every episode and stuff. And it's weird going back and rewatching this show because it's not outdated, but it feels outdated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is a Superman contemporary type show, just without Superman and a whole lot of fighting and CGI type stuff, But it's basically the stepping stones of what TV shows would be like today. I remember when I used to watch Dark Angel. Lots of dialogue, lots of drama in that one fight scene. And then, this show came out around that same time. And this started now being the norm of many action superhero type shows. Tons of talking and like one or two action scenes and stuff. But there was no fighting in this show, and that really sucks. But then when I found out the actress who was playing Supergirl, oh my God, I was like jumping for joy because I had seen her in 2 episodes, or technically 3. Well, one's like an hour special. So technically like 3 episodes of like Goosebumps. So I totally remember that actress, and she was like a young teenager and stuff. And now she's like a grown woman. I was like, oh my God. And then she guest starred on Supergirl in the first season when it was on CBS. Sadly, she revealed on Michael Rosenbaum's like podcast that she didn't have the greatest experience guest starring on Supergirl. She wasn't treated the best on the show and everything. She wouldn't go into detail because she didn't want to start like a mess, but I believe her because there's too much crap that's been going on with the Arrowverse and the CW and CBS and all this other crap, And so, yeah. But I think she plays Supergirl Kara, I should say. Great. Is it Kara or is it Kara? They keep calling her Kara in the show. But then every once in a while, you'll hear Kara or Kara in like the cartoons or like the live actions. I don't know what to call her. Because I always hear Kara Zor-El. I don't never really hear Kara Zor-El. And so, but they keep calling her Kara and everything. And I remember it was so confusing because they had brought in another Supergirl earlier, but that was like a fake version of her and stuff. So for the longest time, that confused fans. Now, season 7 is my favorite because, of course, they brought her in. But season 7 saw a dip in ratings halfway through because of the writer's strike. And, that's quite a shame. Because the first couple of episodes was really great, but then it did start to dip towards like the middle, and it started getting confusing when they start bringing in other writers and stuff. And then, of course, there's the finale of season 7. It started building up all this hype. Then you get into season 8, and it's like, wait, hold up. Lex Luthor is now gone because the actor wanted to leave. And now Supergirl is gone. They wrote her completely off. And I've been wondering, why in the world did they bring her in for one season and one season only, and only one guest appearance in like season 8 and then towards the end? I'm all like, what happened? Like, did somebody get jealous that she was on and she was more popular and everything, and then they just like wrote her off? Or was it always intended for that? And you gotta give it up to Michael Rosenbaum, man. The best Lex Luthor in live action. This man is amazing. There's a reason why they keep contacting this man to reprise his role in other like versions of like the Superman mythos and stuff. They wanted him in Supergirl. He refused. They wanted him in that Crisis episode. He refused again. And stuff. And I think the reason why he refused because his father was ill for Crisis. Plus, they weren't gonna pay that much, and it's not cheap going on over to Canada, getting like a hotel and like food and all this other stuff, then going on back. So, and I think it was around the COVID area, I think too. And so I totally understand why that man didn't come back. Now, why he didn't come back for Supergirl in season 1, I don't know, but like whatever, And I'm not sure if they ever wanted him for Titans or not. I think at that point, the people in charge of like DC and stuff realized, he just ain't coming back. He ain't coming to Canada and stuff. So they just stopped asking him. But the man is the best Lex Luthor in live action. Like, you gotta give it up to the man and stuff. Because he came from like a comedic background and other stuff he's done. But when he played Lex, man, he got serious and stuff. And so with this episode, Kara is in Smallville, and Clark is very shocked and surprised to find out there's another Kryptonian, especially that of his cousin. And so they didn't get off on the best start. Now, in the first episode, she had basically just like a cameo where she saved like Lex Luthor from drowning. He's always being saved, man. And then so like, in the next second episode, which I will talk about soon, I really want to talk about this episode more. And so like, of course, her and Clark didn't get along well. Like, they kind of like had a little scuffle. Then they realize who they are, and it's like, oh my God, family. You know what I'm saying? And so, but he doesn't like having her around. She has a very rough personality and everything. She's very irritated being on Earth, and everything's so primitive, and she misses her home, and she's devastated her home got blown up and stuff. And it's a hard thing for her to like come to grips with, so it's making her brash personality more brash and everything. Plus, she doesn't like the idea of him telling her what to do all the time, because in her eyes he's still a little baby when she saw him the first time, and then she woke up like 20 something years later, or 15 years later, to find out that now he's like, I think he's a grown man at this point and stuff. And so he wants her to keep like a lid on like the superpowers, don't use them and stuff. And, and she doesn't understand why he won't let her use them. And she doesn't like the idea of him trying to blend in so much with humans, even though they look human, they are not. And so, like, when they're at some kind of corn festival and everything, she starts to see they're going to have a beauty pageant type thing. Little Miss Sweet Corn. How more country can you get than that? So she wants to, like, try it out. But he doesn't want her to, because she almost lit Jimmy on fire when she saw, like, how attractive he was. And so he's being very, very, very overly protective and too overly like parenting and stuff. And it's because it's kind of like, it's kind of like when you're at like school and you're like the popular kid or whatever, and your cousin comes to school and you want them to keep like the down low and don't want them to ruin your reputation. That's kind of how he is with her and stuff, but he's just hiding who he is. And so this causes a lot of conflict between those two. She doesn't understand why he won't let her compete when he used to be the captain of the football team using his powers and stuff, which of course he was not allowed to later on because his parents felt like that was just wrong for him to cheat using his powers to be the star athlete. So he has some resentment towards her. Things get further complicated when Lana comes back, finally. And we've been waiting for this moment because we love Lana. We just want her and Clark to finally be together, which they never truly was in the series, except for that one season, and it was very brief. And she married Lex. I think she tried to have him killed or something like that. And then she fled and everything. Of course, the actress wanted to like leave the series and stuff. So she ain't gonna be in this season much long. And so they had to find ways to write her out. And so they had to give her a proper goodbye ending. It was really sad when she did finally leave. And so like when Clark sees her, he's overwhelmed. He's happy because that's his crush. That's his like first like love and everything from when they was kids. And he's never been able to truly be with her and stuff. And so, like, of course, here comes like Cara walking down in like a skimpy bikini and everything. The way these two play off each other is great, but they play off more like brother and sister than they do cousins and stuff. Of course, he's embarrassed to see her in a bikini and everything, and he's all like, "That's not how I told you to blend this." So of course she uses her powers in front of like Lana. But Clark doesn't seem to be pissed and everything about that part. And so Lana realized, oh, she must be like an alien like you, because now, she knows now and stuff. And so with that, she is still running from Lex. She's a wanted woman, I think, for wanting to have. They believe she wanted. I think she tried to have him killed in the last season. But anyway, she calls up Lex, and he shows up, and so like he's all like he dropping the charges and all this and that. But Lex has an ulterior motive. He's looking for the woman who saved him. He realizes she must have powers, but he doesn't know what she looks like. All he has is a sketch. So this agent from the FBI comes and see him because he's also investigating it. Now, the actor who plays the FBI agent, I'm surprised his acting is so good here. When he was on Nightman as the central villain, he was terrible on that show. This just goes to show you with the right script and direction and also learning how to act better, you can be a better actor and stuff. And it's funny because when he was on Nightman, he was technically the Lex Luthor of that show. And so like Clark is trying to teach Kara how to use her powers properly, especially her heat vision. So he has like, he demonstrates like putting like a smiley face on like watermelon. And so he does it. And it's funny seeing him do that because it's such like a Boy Scout type thing, This is why he was like the perfect Clark Kent. And so like she tries it and she just blows it up. But she's pissed and she's all like she'll learn how to use her powers her own way. Well, anyways, well, let's get to Jimmy first. So Jimmy's there, and this Jimmy's like my favorite Jimmy. He is such a goober and everything. And so he's at the Daily Planet with Chloe. Lord Jesus have mercy. I still can't believe what Allison Mack did. How can you get brainwashed to being in a cult and having people branded? She should have been in prison for a whole lot more than that. But oh no, she had to use the celebrity girl like, a get out of free card type thing. Seriously, man, put these celebrities in prison already. Like, it's hard to look at her now knowing what she did. It's like, dude, you look so sweet and innocent. Like, what the world, man? What the world? And so her and Jimmy are starting up their romance because, they used to crush on each other back in the day. And so, like, they're talking about, like, like some weird stuff that's been going on. And, like, well, I ain't got that part yet. Anyway, her boss comes up, this dude named Grant. I forget his last name, but like it's funny because the dude who plays him went to go play Jimmy Olsen in Batman v Superman. I didn't even know that till I looked that up. So in a way, Kara is trying out for Little Miss Sweetcorn. And well, she doesn't even know how to apply makeup. I like this. I like this naivete of hers because it's like she's an alien. She's on Earth. She doesn't know how to use their stuff. Their technology is beyond primitive to what stuff she's never even seen before, unless it was like in the history books. And so she doesn't know how to do this. And I love how they don't make her perfect. She has so many flaws and stuff. So she asked these, like, girls that are there, and they're stuck up and rude. These three girls are our villains, but actually there's two now, because we find out that one of them was planning on, like, stealing the money. Because see, the thing about these girls, they're like beauty pageant contestants. They go from town to town and they rob the place. They've been affected by the meteorites and gave them powers of like the weather. So one of them wanted to like steal everything. And so one of them finds out and she kills her with her ice powers. Kara discovers this after Kara got made fun of by the two like beauty pageant girls that hurt her feelings. It's weird to see her get her feelings hurt and just walk off from it because we see how like much of an attitude she has. So I'm very surprised and everything. But she discovers the dead girl. This alerts that of Chloe and that of Jimmy. Jimmy took some pictures and he's very proud, and Jimmy's kind of like being mean towards people with superpowers. Chloe used to be the same way, very prejudiced towards them, but has now come around. I'm not sure if this is the season where she had powers or not. I know there was one season, but they got rid of them really fast. I think that was like another season. So she has changed her ways when it comes to that of meta-humans. So Jimmy starts running off the mouth, and one of the girls hears him. So she freezes him in the car, and it's like, oh no, like he's gonna die. But then Kara comes to the rescue in this very cool way. She just rips the door off like the car and holds it in the air with one hand. That's such an awesome boss move, man. And it made her look so strong and powerful, and the music accompanying it and stuff. So one of the girls saw that and realized she has powers. And realizes that, oh, if they befriend her, she'll help them find like the treasure and stuff. Apparently, this is what it is. There's a time capsule that's buried under the ground. There's a map that like leads to it and stuff. And supposedly there's something inside it that's supposed to be worth millions of dollars worth of gold. That's why these girls want it. And so like, when Kara realizes something, like when she sees the picture of like what's in the time capsule, she sees a Kryptonian object. And so she goes to steal it before they do. But then something happens that prevents her from fully stealing it. And so the girls realize she double crossed them. So they call the cops on her after she wins the beauty pageant. And so she gets placed in jail. Soon as she's in jail, of course, she's going to use her powers to bust out, but Clark prevents it and everything. And he's like being just all buttheaded towards her and all like, why didn't you tell me there's a Kryptonian object there and blah, blah, blah. And she literally straight up tells him the truth that maybe because like you denounce everything Kryptonian because you think you're a little goody two shoes human and everything. And so that really hits him like hard and stuff. Because he literally tells her, because they have like a discussion and a bit of an argument at some point in the episode where he's all like, look, I might have been born on Krypton, but Earth is my home and everybody I care about and love is here. And it's weird because it's like he is the ultimate immigrant who has denounced his entire heritage only because he doesn't know nothing about it, which is really interesting take on things because there's so many kids who are immigrants of like, you know, older people, and they don't know much of nothing about their like home country and stuff like that, and so they denounce everything just to like fit into like America and stuff. And so he goes to like, you know, where the thing is buried to look for it, and the girls get to it first, and it's a little geometric shaped like Kryptonian object. Very geometrics in this show. I love that and stuff. And so they fight Clark because he does the whole "that don't belong to you," like a very Supermanish type style, and it's just standing there. But it's funny how he gets his butt whooped so fast. And I forgot how bad he used to get his butt whooped on this show. Like one of the girls literally just makes wind come towards him. But of course, there's kryptonite in the ground, so it comes and it knocks him out. I miss that, man. I miss kryptonite really messing up Superman. Nowadays in live action, whether TV shows or movies, it doesn't affect him the same way it used to. Basically, you could take like a little pebble of kryptonite and he'll be like passed down on the ground. Nowadays, he'll see it and he'll just like push it aside, or he'll blow it up real fast or something, you know? And that's so annoying because they make him too perfect in all these new live action interpretations and stuff. Like when he had the kryptonite spear and he stabbed Doomsday with it, I'm all like, how in the world is he even able to hold that when before it made him lay on the ground? You know what I'm saying? Or and also like the kryptonite, like, you know, smoke bombs, he inhaled it. Yeah, it depowered him, but he was still able to fight. And I'm just kind of like, I want to see the dude passed out on the ground. Stop making him so perfect. So Kara shows up and she smacks one of the girl. But then this is so weird. She flies in the air and she drops kicks another. But she glowed when she did that. Like she glowed like a blue fluorescent like lighting. And I didn't understand why that was and stuff. And so like they never explained it. And so she's about to come to Clark and he's like, no, these green rocks could kill you. So of course she thinks like, you know, what she did with the watermelon. And I like how she used her brain. So she just blew it up. Only problem is when she blew it up, it went into like a million pieces. None of those shards went into Clark. And I was like, it could have happened, but it didn't. It reminds me of that one episode of Justice League when Hawk Girl smashed this little crystal thing, and then all the little shards went into the Justice League members, turning them evil and everything. So anyways, the day has been saved and everything, and him and her have a heart to heart, and you know, they realize that this artifact don't belong to her because it's been there for 100 years and there's more Kryptonians on Earth than they realize, because Earth plays a bigger part in the Kryptonian like legacy and stuff, which is something I've always hated when they try to make that crap in comics. Like they say, like, you know, Jor-El came to Earth many years ago, met the Wayne family and realized, oh, Earth is where I should send like my son in case the Earth blows up. And I always hate how they always try to tie that crap in, and they did that with this show a lot. And so like why couldn't it just him randomly showing up on Earth? That's how I like it, you know, just a random occurrence who just happens to have a yellow sun that gives him his powers, you know what I'm saying? And so like they had their heart to heart, and he tells her straight up, you know, Earth is my home and all this, and he's rejecting everything Kryptonian, and, you know, and all this other crap. And so Chloe and Jimmy, they have their heart to heart, but then the ending, which is really cool, Lex, when he talked to Lana, he's all like, I heard Clark's cousin is in town, which makes him suspicious because he's been suspicious of Clark for years and stuff. And so he had somebody literally follow, like, you know, spy on the Kent farm and find out that Clark does indeed have a cousin there. And she's blonde and she looks like that sketch. So he shows up at her job at the coffee house, and he tries to smooth her. He tries to woo her and everything. He's all charming and wanting to hang out with her. It's all like, oh man, you know, I know you got powers. It's cool. I can keep your secret and everything. And she's just remembering what Clark told her. So she's denying everything, you know. And I love that about that because she could have easily just like revealed herself, but she didn't, you know what I'm saying? Because she almost revealed herself to those two like beauty pageant girls, but she didn't when she found out they had power, thinking they might be an alien like her and stuff. And so no matter what, she just won't divulge any information to him and just keeps denying it. He's all like, you know, there was somebody like you once who had powers, and I could have helped that person out, and you know, things could have been so much differently. But we know exactly what Lex is about. This is when he started to get his most evil, because he wasn't always that evil in the beginning of this show. He was actually nice and helping out, but then once he got possessed by like Zod, he just turned evil after that. And of course, he wants to use Kara for his own well-being because she has powers and stuff. But he ain't gonna take no for an answer, and it's gonna take time for him to try to build her trust. And that's what he's hoping and stuff. And so, yeah, I've always liked this episode. It was always a good episode. I like how Clark realized at the end, you know, he's being like, you know, this is what his parents went through with him. He wanted to use his powers and they wouldn't let him. And then he would get mad at them. So now he realizes what they were saying the whole time. And it's funny how adults learn that lesson. Because, you know, when they're kids, they don't understand. And then when they're adults, they totally like understand. And so that was like a really cool, like, you know, shift and change for him. And he had to realize, you know, his parents were right and everything. And I just loved Kara in this episode and stuff. Like, she really shined so much in this episode. Now, as for the actual beauty pageant itself, it was a bit of a letdown. They really didn't do anything beauty pageant like worthy other than walk around in bikinis, and that's just of course for sex appeal and stuff. And there's a deleted scene that makes total sense now for a scene that made no sense in the show. And so there was a scene in the show where Kara takes like this red like sheet and she's talking about this would be perfect for like, you know, like whatever it is she's gonna do or something like that. And but we never see it after that. What is a deleted scene where she does like a magic show? How she knows magic or on I remember. So like I haven't seen the deleted scene, but I read about it. Basically, she uses her powers to like move around real fast, you know, and stuff like that. And so her magician's outfit has a red cape. And with the blue outfit and the red cape is supposed to be an indication of like her being Supergirl and stuff like that. This should have made it in the show because it would have gave more levity to that of like, you know, her progressions on being on Earth for being there for a whole week and learning things real fast, and you know, the nod to Supergirl, and of course more of the beauty pageant type elements and stuff. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.